Okay, picture this. It's maybe, I don't know, 8 in the morning. You're on a terrace. It's all teak wood, and the
Hmm.
Andaman Sea is just this ridiculous shade of blue.
The dream.
The dream. You've got a coffee, maybe a mango smoothie, and you have that thought, I could do this. I could actually live here. I could just buy this view.
It's a very powerful, very seductive image. And look, for a lot of people, that dream becomes a fantastic reality.
But there's always a but.
There is a flip side.
Yeah.
If you go into buying property in Thailand with, let's say, the same casual attitude you use to buy a souvenir.
Impulse first, questions later.
Exactly. That dream can turn into a really expensive, really bureaucratic nightmare.
And that is exactly what we're tackling today. We are putting the fantasy aside for a minute and picking up, well, magnifying glass. We're doing a deep dive into how you actually buy property in Phuket. How do you get the paradise without, inheriting the problems?
We're going to strip it all the way down to the essentials. The legal checks, the physical checks, the financial reality that separates a good investment from a very bad story.
To guide us, we're using a really comprehensive due diligence checklist from Ocean Worldwide. And I think the context here is super important. This isn't some new agency that just showed up.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
They've been established in Phuket since 2004.
2004. In the international property world, that's an eternity. It means they've seen it all. The booms, the busts.
Everything in between. It shows a certain resilience and, a deep understanding of the market.
Right, and we're drawing on insights from their team, which is led by Sandra O'Neill. She's the director, and over the years, she has personally helped thousands of families and investors figure this stuff out.
So when an agency with that kind of track record puts out a guide that basically says, here's how not to lose your shirt, you probably want to listen.
Yeah, exactly. Their whole philosophy seems to be that this isn't just about ticking boxes. It's more like checking the ingredients list before you buy the food.
That's a great way to put it. You have to know what you're actually buying.
So let's start with the absolute bedrock, the paperwork. The title deed. Now, where I'm from, a deed is pretty much a deed. But in Thailand, it sounds like there's a whole hierarchy of documents.
That's a very fair assessment. They are not all created equal, and this is probably the first and biggest place where foreign buyers can get into trouble. Ocean Worldwide is crystal clear on this point.
Okay.
The gold standard, the one you absolutely want to see, is called the Chenot. The legal term is Nor Sur For Jour.
The Chenot. Why is that the one? What makes it the gold standard?
It's all about accuracy. Cenote means the land has been properly surveyed with GPS coordinates linked to the national grid. The boundaries are marked by official posts.
So there's no ambiguity. You know exactly where your property line is.
Precisely. It gives you full, undisputed ownership rights. And it's the easiest to transfer or, say, get a mortgage against. It's the most secure you can be.
Okay, so if Cenote is the top of the pyramid, what's underneath it? What are the other titles we might see?
Well, you'll often come across something called a Nor Sur 3 Gore. Think of this as maybe the silver medal.
Okay.
It's a certificate of use. It's legal. You can buy and sell it, but the boundaries aren't quite as precisely defined as a Chenot. It's often possible to upgrade it, but that's a whole separate process.
So it's workable, just with a bit more homework. What are the ones we should just run away from?
The real danger zone is when you see titles like Sorpor 401 or, even worse, Porbor 5.
Those sound more like serial numbers than land titles.
And Porbor 5 is basically just that. It's a tax receipt. It shows you've been occupying and paying tax on the land, but it gives you zero ownership rights.
Wow.
And the Sorpor 401 is land designated for agricultural reform for Thai farmers. If someone tries to sell you a plot for a luxury villa on that kind of land, it's a massive trap.
The analogy in the source material is so sharp. It says skipping the title check is like buying a fancy car without checking if it's stolen. You might get the keys,
But you don't actually own the car. And that extends to the person selling it, too. Does the name on their ID match the name on the back of the deed?
and if it doesn't,
Then you hit pause. Does he have a legal power of attorney? Why is the owner here? Because if you give a deposit to someone who has no legal right to sell, that money is just gone.
Okay, so let's say the seller is legit, the title is a Chenot. We're still not done. The checklist talks about encumbrances. Sounds ominous.
Think of them as legal sticky notes attached to the property. The most common one is a mortgage. Is this land being used as collateral for a developer's loan from 5 years ago?
Ah, I see. So you pay the seller, but the bank actually has the primary claim.
Exactly. You don't own it free and clear, the bank does. And it's not just about money.
It can be about access.
It can. They're called servitudes or easements. You have to check the back of the deed at the land department. Does your neighbor have a registered right to drive across your driveway to get to their house? Is there a public utility pipe running right where you wanted to put your swimming pool?
Things you would never know just by walking around the property.
You'd have no idea. The grass doesn't tell you about legal obligations.
Which is a perfect transition. Let's move from the paper to the physical ground, Section 2. The checklist puts it simply, it looks pretty, but does it work?
And this brings us straight to the issue of access. For a condo, this is rarely a problem. But for those beautiful, secluded hillside villas, Phuket is famous for.
You're often on these little winding private roads.
And there's the risk. You have to verify that you have a legal, registered right-of-way from a public road to your front gate.
So a casual agreement like, oh, the guy next door has always let us drive through his land, that's not enough.
It is a time bomb. The guy next door sells, the new owner decides he doesn't like you, and he puts up a fence. All of a sudden, your $1 million villa is completely landlocked.
You literally can't get to your own house.
You can't. The Ocean Worldwide Guide is very firm on this. An informal permission is one of the biggest red flags you can find.
I can imagine. So while we're on site, let's talk about the building itself. A house in the tropics. It ages differently.
Oh, massively differently. It's hot, it's humid, the rain can be torrential. You have to look past a fresh coat of paint.
What are the telltale signs of trouble?
Look for damp, bubbling paint near the floors, water stains on the ceilings. Ask about the age of the electrical and plumbing systems. In older villas, the salt and humidity can do a real number on them.
And for those amazing sea view homes built on the hillsides.
Two big things to check. First is soil stability. How does the water drain away during a monsoon? You don't want to be at risk of a landslide. Second, and this is a big one, is coastal zoning laws.
Ah, the rules about how close you can build to the water.
Exactly. Thailand has strict rules about setbacks and building heights near the coast. Just because a villa is there doesn't mean it was built legally. You need to make sure you're not buying a future demolition order.
Okay, let's talk about the money. We checked the land, we've checked the building. Section 3, the financials. It's never just the sticker price.
Never. There are always transaction costs. In Thailand, you've got the transfer fee, which is typically 2% of the property's appraised value. Then there's stamp duty at 0.5%.
Okay, so that's 2.5% right there.
Right. But the one that often surprises people is the specific business tax.
That sounds very specific.
It is. It's a 3.3% tax that kicks in if the seller has owned the property for less than 5 years. It's the government's way of discouraging short-term speculation.
Whoa, 3.3% is a huge number. Does the buyer or the seller pay that?
And that's the crucial point. It's negotiable. The law just says it has to be paid. Sandra O'Neill's team really emphasizes this. Yeah. You have to write it into your sale and purchase agreement. Who pays what? If you don't, you could be in for a nasty surprise.
There's another document the guide highlights. It sounds really bureaucratic, but also really important, the FET form.
The Foreign Exchange Transaction Form. This is non-negotiable for a foreign buyer. When you send your money to Thailand for the purchase, it has to come from an overseas account in a foreign currency. The Thai bank that receives it then issues this FET form, or a remittance advice, as proof.
And why is that piece of paper so important?
2 reasons. First, the land department won't let you register the property without it. No FET, no transfer, simple as that. Second, and this is the one people forget, if you sell the property in 10 years and want to send your money home,
you need to prove where it came from in the first place.
Exactly. You show the bank that original FET form to prove the funds were legitimate foreign investment. Without it, getting your money out of Thailand becomes incredibly difficult.
So the advice is, treat that form like gold.
Treat it like a passport for your cash.
Let's touch on the contract itself. The guide's big rule here is simple. No handshakes.
Absolutely. Everything needs to be in writing in the sale and purchase agreement, the SPA. Price, payment dates, what happens if someone pulls out, everything.
What about those reservation fees you see, pay a deposit now to hold this unit? Are they safe?
They can be, but you have to be careful. The key is to make sure your reservation agreement says the fee is refundable if your lawyer's due diligence turns up a major problem.
So you don't lose your deposit because you found out the title deed is a mess.
You should never be penalized for doing your homework.
And for buying off-plan from a developer, when the condo is just a drawing.
The golden rule there is to tie your payments to construction milestones, not to dates on a calendar.
So you're not just paying every month regardless of progress.
Correct. You pay the next installment when the roof is finished and inspected, not just because it's the 1st of June. That way, if there are delays, your money stays safe in your account, not the developer's.
Which leads us right into Section 4. Developer viability. You're not just buying a property, you're betting on a company.
You're betting on their ability to deliver. So you vet them like a business partner. The Ocean Worldwide Checklist says to check their company registration, check the director's ID, and, this is a big one, ask to see their approved EIA.
The environmental impact assessment.
Yes. For any big project, they can't get a building permit without it. If they're trying to sell you a unit and the EIA is still pending approval, that's a risk. The government could reject it or force them to make major changes.
Like you buy a Sea-View unit on the 4th floor, and then the EIA says the building can only be 3 floors tall?
It could happen.
Yeah.
Or the whole project could be scrapped. EIA approval is a massive green light. No approval is a yellow, maybe even a red light.
And we should probably clarify how a foreigner can actually own the property. The structures are quite specific.
They are. The simplest is a freehold condo. Under what's called the foreign quota, a foreigner can own up to 49% of the total space in a condominium building. You get a chenote in your own name. It's very clean.
But I can't own land for a villa that way?
Generally, no. So for a villa, most foreigners use a leasehold structure. This is usually a 30-year lease that you prepay, and it gets registered at the land department. It's a very secure right to possess and use the property.
And the third way is setting up a Thai company.
Yes, where a Thai limited company that you control owns the land. But, and this is a warning from the guide, this isn't a simple loophole. It's a real company. It has to have Thai shareholders, file accounts, pay taxes. It requires proper maintenance.
And with a condo, you also have to check the rules of the building management, the juristic person.
Yes. Before you buy, read their rules. Do they allow pets? What are the rules on short-term rentals? If your whole plan is to Airbnb your unit and they have a strict no daily rentals policy, your investment plan is basically DOA.
Okay, so we've done all the homework. The papers are good, the building is solid, the money is sorted. It's finally time for the last step. Section 5, transfer day.
The finish line. This all happens at the local land department office. It's usually a pretty busy, chaotic-looking place, but it's where it all becomes official.
So what happens?
You, or more likely your lawyer with the power of attorney, will go in. The officials check all the documents, passports, the contract, the FET form. They verify the cashier's checks for the payment and the taxes are all correct. And then, once they're satisfied, the officer takes the physical Shinoda deed and literally updates it. They type your name onto the back as the new owner or register your lease.
That's the moment.
That's the moment. They stamp it, hand it to you, and the property is legally yours.
The more you describe this process, the more one piece of advice from the Ocean Worldwide Guide seems less like a suggestion and more like an absolute rule. Hire a good lawyer.
It's non-negotiable. A qualified, independent property lawyer does all of this for you. They check the title, they draft the contract, they represent you at the land department. It's the single best investment you can make in the whole process.
Right. The cost of the lawyer is nothing compared to the cost of a mistake.
Not even close. You wouldn't do surgery on yourself, so don't try to navigate a foreign legal system alone.
So let's bring it all home. For the person listening who still wants that incredible view, what's the big takeaway?
The big takeaway is that the dream is totally achievable. It just needs to be built on a foundation of facts, not just a good feeling.
If you had to boil down the Ocean Worldwide checklist to a big 3, what would they be?
Number 1, check the title. Make sure it's a chenote. Number 2, check the access. You need a legal registered right away. And number 3, check the money trail, tie payments to milestones, and for goodness sake, get that FET form.
I would add a 4th, check your team. We have to thank our source here, Ocean Worldwide. You have Sandra O'Neill and her team who've been doing this on the ground since 2004. They've seen every possible pitfall.
That kind of deep experience, that 2 decades of knowledge, gives you a layer of safety you just can't find on your own.
And if you want to see what they offer or get their help, you can find them online at oceanwww.com. That's oceanwww-p.com.
I guess my final thought for you is this. When you're buying property, boring is your best friend. You want the title search to be boring. You want the contract to be standard and uneventful. Because when the paperwork is boring, your life in that villa can be exciting. If the paperwork gets exciting, your life is about to get very, very stressful.
Buy the boring paperwork so you can live the exciting reality. I love that. Thanks for walking us through this.
My pleasure.